function arguments in C. Function arguments. So function arguments, we must declare variables that accept the values of the arguments. And these are called formal parameters of the function. Formal parameters behave like local variables. And there are two ways in which arguments can be passed to a function. These are the called by value or called by reference. By default, C uses called by value to pass arguments. Called by value. When you call by value, this is what C does. It copies the actual value of an argument into the formal parameter of the function. So it copies the actual value. And changes made to the parameters inside the function have no effect on the argument, because what we did is we just copied the value to another or to the formal parameter. So we are not really changing the variable itself. So let's try to demonstrate that. So here's an example program wherein we have the function swap, and we have here two formal parameters, x and y. So what we did here is we just interchange the value of x and y. So we have here the temporary variable temp, and the value of x is placed inside temp. The value of y is placed inside x, and the value of temp is placed inside y. So what this program will do is to swap the values of x and y. But let's take a look at this program. So here in our main program, we have a is equal to 100 and b is equal to 200. And we now print the values of a and b before we call the swap function. So before swap, the value of a should be 100 and the value of b should be 200. So after that, we call the swap function, and then we print again the value of a and b after we call the swap function. So again, in call by value, so we have here a is 100 and b is 200. What we pass here in x is just the value of this variable. So this becomes 100 and this becomes 200. But this x and y is actually different, or is another local variable, and it is different with a and b. They only have, so what we pass here is only the values. So whatever changes in the value that will happen to x and y will not really affect the variable a and b. That's why we just pass the value. So if you run the program, do we already have the output there? So before swap, a is equal to 100, before swap, b is equal to 200, and after swap, a is still equal to 100 and b is equal to 200. So just like what I've said, what we pass to x and y are just the values, not really a and b, the variables a and b. So if you want, we can place here something to check. Printf if you doubt. If there really swapping that took place. So let's try to print before and after swapping. So there was swapping, and I want to add the space. So let's try to run the program again. So you notice here, before swap, a is 100, b is 200. So this is before swap. A, value of a is passed into x. So x is 100 and the value b is passed into y, so 200. And after swapping, x becomes 200 and y becomes 100. But once you go back to the main program, you notice that a and b were not actually changed. So that is passing by value. We just pass the value, but not really the it will not actually affect the variables or the original variables. So let's continue. So next we have the call by reference. Passing arguments to a function copies the address of an argument into the formal parameters inside the function. So you notice here that it is not the value that is being copied, but the address of an argument. So the address is used to access the actual argument used in the call. So because we have the address, we can now access the actual value or the actual argument. The changes made to the parameter inside affect the passed argument. So if there are changes now inside the parameter, it will also change the actual or the argument. To pass a value by reference, argument pointers are passed to the function just like any other value. So accordingly, you need to declare the function parameters as pointer type. So that's the difference. The parameter should be of pointer types. So let's now try to demonstrate that. So I have here another program. So you notice here in my declaration of function, instead of just integer x, integer y, I have here pointers. So what are pointers again? Pointers are variables that contains the address. So what we'll be passing here is not the value, but the address. So if you're going to look at this one, so void, again we have pointers, so we have temp. So asterisk x here, so if we just use x, that's the address. Asterisk x is the value. So the value is passed into temp, and then the value of y is assigned to the value of x, and the value of temp now is assigned to the value of y. So this will actually swap their values. Now if you're going to look at the program now, basically the same as the previous one. So we have a is equal to 100, b is equal to 200. Then we print the values of a and b before swapping. So just like what we have did in the previous example. But this time around, if we call the swap, since our function receives, these are pointer variables, so they receive the address, so we give the address of a and b, not just the value of a and b. So what will be passed here to x is the address of a, and what will be passed to y is the address of y. So what we're doing here is we're doing some changes directly to the address, to the memory address. So if we change what is inside the memory address, that will also change the value. So what we have here is the address of a and b. Okay, so if we do some changes in x and y, it will also change whatever is stored in the variables a and b. So after swapping, we displayed again the value of a and b. So let's try to run the program. So you notice before swap, value of a is 100. Before swap, value of b is 200. Now after calling the swap function, the value of a now is equal to 200 and the value of b is equal to 100. So that's because we pass by the reference, we pass the address. So again, any changes made to the address will also change the value of whatever is stored in a and b. So that's the difference between passing by value and passing by reference. So thank you very much for viewing this video.